Anupamji, first of all, welcome to INS.
Thank you.
And talking about liquid reality blends Indian classical music with jazz rock. So, was it a conscious attempt to break genre barriers, or did it happen naturally over time?
Well, thank you for having me, Sharik. It is my pleasure to talk to you guys. Talking about liquid reality, there was no conscious effort to break genres or to create something that's not been done before. Usually, music doesn't work like that. It's a very natural, organic process where you start to amalgamate and connect your ideas through sound, and you start to, put everything, say, pen to paper, and then the music sort of flows in its own direction. Well, there were definitely concepts that came with very strong musical ideas that I possess, and I wanted to capture them, lightning in a bottle, if you will. And that's how, like, the initial writing process of Liquid Reality started.
What is this liquid reality all about?
It is my new solo album, and it's coming up with AGS recordings in the United States and worldwide. It's coming, it's a worldwide release. The record label is called AGS Alternative Guitar Summit, which is a very renowned guitar based label from New York City. And it has some great musicians, some legendary guitar players. So, very honored to be included in that list. It's run by my friend Joel Harrison, who's an American based composer, guitar player, and he's a very renowned musician himself, a Guggenheim Fellow awardee. And so the album came about my desire to bring together using my instrument, my double neck special guitar, which is, sort of something I discovered, into fruition with music that I was thinking for a while, but I hadn't executed. So I've been known for doing a lot of instrumental albums, a lot of solo recordings based on my sarod, which was my previous instrument, and my collaborations with great American jazz and classical musicians. But this time, when I started writing music for this album, my wife actually told me that you always write instrumental music. And when you lived in India, when I lived in India, I composed a lot of great albums for companies like Sarigama, HMV, Times Music, where I used to love working with singers, and it's my first love to write and to produce and to compose and arrange for these amazing singers. So I decided to bring that back. And now in America, as opposed to maybe 10 years ago, there are great singers that sing in Indian languages. So it started with the idea of me starting to compose all this interesting music and then involving and collaborating with these great musicians. And that turned into Liquid
Uh, Tell us something about your journey, which is quite inspiring from Bombay to global stage. So, how do you grow up in India, shape up your musical identity?
Thank you, thank you. Well, it's inspiring. It's also very challenging. I grew up in Bombay, not too far from here. We're sitting in Bandra right now with the wonderful Sharik ji. And I grew up in Juhu, which is not too far from here. And yeah, I mean, late 90s, early 2000s kid. Grew up playing guitar and played with a lot of local bands. And, I come from a family of musicians. My mom was a great singer. My grandfather was a great sitar player. My great grandfather was just a genius luminary who was a poet. He was a sitar player. He played the Esraj. He was conferred even a title by the great Rabindranath Tagore, and who penned some words of poetry for him. And he was also one of the teachers of the great Tumri artist Sattareshwari Devi of Banaras. So with that background, I grew up, playing guitar, mainly Western music. A lot of rock, a little bit of jazz, but a lot of metal and rock. And then I started to get more deeply inspired by the classical music of India. I had the great opportunity when I was 16 years old to watch the great Ustad Ali Akbar Khan Sahib, who later would I know I would become a part of that Nirvana. His son was my main teacher, Ustad Ashish Khan Sahib. And it changed my life to watch Khan Sahib play. And I had to pursue this road. So I put the guitar down. I'm a person that can only play one instrument at one time. I'm not a multi-instrumentalist. I'm a composer who expresses himself through one instrument. So I put the guitar down and I went seriously into the sarod, studying ragas and talas and riyas and just 15 hours of practicing. And then when I moved to the US, a lot of my collaborations were based on the sarod. I moved to the US because I love jazz and I love Western classical music, and I've had the opportunity to study with masters and work with the great musicians. And at some point in life, the guitar made a re-entry into my life. because when I was playing the sarod, I was missing the guitar. When I was playing the guitar, I was missing the sarod. So, and as a composer, it was important for me to amalgamate both these instruments into one, and hence this instrument, which I call Kalima, was born.
Okay. The album released on Holi, a festival of colors and unity. So, how does liquid reality reflect the spirit of Holi?
Well, music is a very colorful medium, and especially when I think of music, I think of the word fusion not as a genre or as a style. I think of it as a concept. It's conceptually fusion. We are fusion. We are a direct fusion of our mothers and fathers. 50% of each. So everything in life is fusion. In our bodies, chemically we're fusion. So the colors of music, just like the diverse colors of Holi in India, being, according to me, musically the greatest country in the world, because it just not doesn't boast of one classical music system. It boasts of two: the music of North India and the music of South India, Carnatic classical music and Hindustani classical music. There's no other country in the world, bar none, in the United States, that has two fully developed classical traditions. So these are different colors. The folk music of India changes every 25 kilometers. The food changes. So these colors play an important part. And it just happened when we picked the date for the release, we were like, oh, it's Holi. So that's very, fortuitous.
Your custom double neck guitar is revolutionary. So, how does it change your approach to composing and performing? And if you can perform something on the guitar.
Certainly. I'll answer that question first and then I'll play a little bit.
Yeah.
So, well, it's inspiring, man. Thank you. Revolutionary, I don't know, but it's definitely challenging. And for me, it basically inspires me every day because I discover something new. And because I'm a child of two worlds musically, as you will see, that this side, the fretless neck, essentially is my Hindustani, it is my sarod, or my sarangi, or my sitar, or my surbahar, or my senior rabab, or my rudravina, if you will. And this side, of course, is my Western, the harmony and the counterpoint and the voice leading and the chordal colors and all of that. So every day when I sit to practice, because practice is really important for me, I have to practice two, it's almost two separate instruments, so I have to practice them individually. And Indian music is based on something known as the Shruti system, the microtonal system, the system of just intonation, technically speaking. Whereas Western music, that's why you see their frets here, is based on a system known as equal temperament. And this is very important because in Indian music, you slide, there is mean. In Indian music, the notes are never curved like this. They're always like this. This is a very special feature of Indian.
It's like a wave.
Like a wave. Exactly. Perfectly, Shari. Whereas in Western music, it's like a peak.
Yeah.
And these are two different beautiful things. And they both, I embrace them both equally, And I don't discriminate music. Music is a universal language. And I don't discriminate anything for that matter.
With artists from different countries collaborating on this album, so how do you ensure a seamless fusion of styles?
With artists of different countries collaborating, see, Sherry, the universal language we speak is music. In a world we live in where there's so much, war, and there's so much pain and anguish, and there's so much economic disparity, art is one thing that truly brings human beings together. No matter what culture, what language, what religion, what race, if people believe in that, two musicians, when they're sitting with two instruments, can just start communicating through music. And that is a profound thing. That's a beautiful thing. That is what makes us human, And I truly believe in that. I do not believe that art separates us. Art joins us. Politics, can be complicated. Money can be complicated. But art is a very pure, that's why in India, art is known as Nada Brahma. It connects you with the divine. And when I'm working with, especially in New York City, I have to say, just like Bombay, it's a very diverse city. Musicians, the greatest musicians from all over the world. And we just talk the language of music. We get together, I'll write something. I love to write the music through like traditional Western notation. And we'll send them charts. We'll get together, we'll rehearse, and we'll just go play the music. For me, it's all the same, whether it's Japan or China or Germany or France or, anywhere. Mother India is special.
Purists often argue that fusion music dilutes the essence of classical tradition. So, how do you respond to that criticism?
Well, Like I was saying earlier, I consciously believe that the word fusion is a little misunderstood. I do not think fusion is a style of music. I really think fusion is a concept. I think, like I was saying, we are all fusion. We're exactly halves of our mothers and our fathers. That makes us fusion. Our mothers come from a completely different family. Our fathers come from a different family, from a part of the world or family, and we fuse to become our identities. Our food is fusion. Tomatoes didn't belong to India. They came as a part of the Columbian exchange. We use tomatoes in our food. That's fusion. Similarly, music, if you look at the word sitar is a Persian word, but we play classical Indian music on it. The word sarud, my previous instrument, sahrud, in Persian means good sound, but it is played in Indian music. This amalgamation of cultures has always existed in music. Film music is fusion music. You'll have a wonderful melody, which is of an Indian ilk, which you'll have this lovely orchestration, which is Western. Even if it is the deepest classical music, there is some fusion in it. You cannot escape that because of humanity. We are a fusion of chemicals. So I look at it even from a scientific point of view. I have a problem with the word purity. Every time I hear the word purity, I start to get a little suspicious because it sort of reminds me of things like pure blood, pure race, and pure people. So I don't subscribe to those ideas.
So you have said John
John McLaughlin.
McLaughlin guitar playing in Shakti was a revolution.
Yes.
So do you think Indian musician got the same level of global recognition as Western artists in fusion today?
Absolutely. And I find they get even more recognition now, especially now. And like I was saying to you earlier, Sharik, I feel like every Indian musician has a little bit of Shakti in them. They've been such a path breaker and they've been such a game changer in music, and they were doing it in the 70s, even before we were born, at least before I was born. And they really changed the way fusion, or I like to call it crossover music, because it crosses over cultures, is perceived and also enjoyed and experienced. And I feel, yes, Indian musicians, especially, I'm also involved in the MESC with my friend Anusha Srinivasan Iyer, part of I feel like the ministry under Modi ji, they're doing a great job with the MESC with upskilling of Indian musicians. And I feel this is a great visionary initiative that I'm very, very honored to be a part of the MESC as an honorary member, where upskilling and education become a big part. Indian musicians are already global. They're winning Grammys. I'm a voting member of the Grammy Academy. And, every year you see amazing Indian artists really break the barrier. And, Pandit Ravi Shankar was the one that we call him the godfather of world music. He was the one that really brought these worlds together. We're really basically sitting on his shoulders, And my teacher, Ustad Ashish Khan, back in the 70s when he was working with George Harrison of the Beatles and so many amazing projects. These people have led the way.
Do you think that these people, as you told, that led the way, but at that time there was no such recognition given to them?
I feel there was incredible recognition given to Pandit Ravi Shankar. Incredible recognition. He, not only the Bharat Ratna, which of course is amazing and, it's such an honor, but from the Grammys to winning an Oscars.
There were not many people knowing about that achievement of them, which was such a big achievement for India.
Well, but it was also the 70s and there was no social media. The world was a different place. We didn't communicate as easily without the internet as we did. But imagine then, where there were barely any Indian musicians in the US or in Europe, but these people came in and they completely changed the way people think of India back then, because, people didn't know much about India back in the 60s, in the 50s, when Ustad Ali Akbar Khan went for the first time and cut the first LP of Indian music in 1955 in New York City, my city. And it was the commentary was given by the great violinist Yehudi Menuhin. And yeah, I mean, if they were not getting recognition then, which they're getting even more recognition now because of social media, and the world's a closer place because of the internet.
Some say that fusion is just a trendy label for marketing music. Do you think fusion music is truly innovative, or is it just a repacking of existing tradition?
It's in the hands of the artist, really. It's what the artist does with it. You can go to a restaurant and they can say that, oh, we have Delhi wala butter chicken, but they could be making you Hyderabad wala butter chicken, nothing wrong with it. But it really depends on who the artist is. I feel this is a very, very subjective thing. So if you have an artist that has taken the time to study music, taken the time to study Indian music, Western music. Fusion just doesn't have to be Indian and Western music. It could be African music meets Japanese music. But it is, like I said, it is not a genre. It's not a style. For me, it's a concept. Fusion is how you take the jeera and you put the dhania into it. And that is fusing with the chemicals and creating this beautiful aroma. So that's in the hands of the chef, So a competent, skilled composer have always created great fusion music, from the likes of R.D. Burman to the likes of Ravi Shankar to the likes of Shakti.
Lastly, we have some fun questions.
Go ahead. Let's have fun.
So, if liquid reality was a holy color, what shade would it be and why?
If liquid reality was a holy color, as in not the Holy Trinity, like the festival holy, I would think it would be something like crimson red. Don't ask me why.
What's the wildest reaction you have received from a classical purist after they heard your music?
The wildest reaction I've received is they have embraced it and they've said, "You're changing the game."
If you could jam with any musician, dead or alive, who would it be and why?
Oh man, that is such a big list. I would like to have been in the same room when Ustad Alauddin Khan and the great Banaras Gharana tabla maestro Baba Kanthe Maharaj was sitting and playing. I would have just liked to sit and watch for hours. But in terms of playing, we recently, just a month ago, lost the great Ustad Zakir Hussain, the greatest tabla player of the world. So I would have really, really liked to have played with him and for him to have enjoyed Liquid Reality, because we did a Shakti piece on the album. So, in the honor of Shakti. So I would have really liked his blessings on it.
Since you are a fan of both Indian and Western music, if Eddie Van Halen and Ustad Ali Akbar Khan had a musical duo, who do you think would win?
If Eddie Van Halen and Ustad Ali Akbar Khan would have a musical duo, they would probably have produced someone like me. So I would have won. Because I'm sort of an amalgamation of both. Funny answer.
Yeah. What some people think always get wrong about fusion music?
One thing that people get wrong about fusion, I don't want to judge people, everybody consumes music in their own way. I don't want to say anybody's wrong or right, because music in itself is a success. See, Sharik, you have to look at it this way. Somebody's coming to your concert. They're taking a bus. They're taking a train. Say I'm playing in Bandra. You're coming from Mira Road. You could go anywhere with your wife, with your kids. You could watch a movie. You could go go for a nice dinner. But you came all the way, bought a ticket, sat down, and you watched a concert, and you gave me that attention and that time in your life. You are not wrong, man. The audience is never wrong. The artist can be wrong, but the audience is never wrong.
Okay, so lastly, we just need to ask you one thing, that recently there are many news coming up about the concerts of India. Some say that the organization is not good. Some say that infrastructure is not good. And recently there was a case of legendary singer Udit Narayan. So he was like in a concert where the fan came and kissed her on the cheek, and he suddenly was in what mood we don't know, but he kissed on her lips. So if you want to give a reaction, that how come an artist should maintain his dignity in the concert?
I mean, it's very important to maintain your dignity, your civility, your artistic integrity at a concert, because art is a gift of, Saraswati Ma for us, in India, no matter what religion you are, we are Saraswati Bhakt first. So it's a very pure thing. We go, only in India, you'll see that we'll go and we'll touch the stage and we'll take a pranam and we'll take our shoes off, so it's such a beautiful thing. Look, I don't know anything about such a controversy, so I cannot comment on something I haven't seen.
There are many things coming about AI music and AI tools.
Good question.
So tell us something about that. Is it damaging the image of musicians or singers? What do you have to say about that?
No, that is an amazing question because at least in the West, we talk about this a lot. So I'm glad in India we're discussing this as well. Well, yes. See, you have to take a look at the history. There was a time in the West where there are the drummers, like the great drummers and the bands and rock bands and this and that. And then that was replaced by drum machines, these keyboard synthesizers. And the drummers lost their work. There was a time in the Indian film industry where you had amazing string players and orchestras and stuff, but then keyboard sequencing started. Then those poor guys were driving rickshaws. So technology will come. You cannot stop it. That's just like trying to stop a tide or a wave. There was a time when you had dial-up phones, hello, but now it's a mobile phone, So technology will come. It's again how you use it. Technology is a double-edged sword. It can destroy, it can also create. So I feel like AI, if we let AI replace the human element in art or society. See, remember, even pilots, when they're flying a plane, they rely on a lot of technology, a lot of computer instrumentation. But the final decision is always that human intuition. So that is what makes us, artists, musicians, human beings. That complex fusion of ideas is what makes us human beings. So if AI the algorithm totally gets rid of that human element, then it's not the music I'm personally interested in, because for me, music is a human interest thing, Yeah.
And lastly, what message you have to give to your fans?
Stay safe, stay healthy, stay responsible, be good to your parents. They are the blessing. Be good to your fellow human beings. Listen to good music. And if you're a guitar player, man, practice 10 hours a day. You're welcome.